So I'm going to start by drawing the boat. I'll do it a little bit below centre. I'll have the sky as the bigger part of the background. So I'm just going to start by drawing the shape of the boat in. And this is just like a fishing trawler. Now, I've just got to try and get the basic shapes right, because I usually draw animals, so I do love a seascape, but I don't do them a lot. So I thought I wanted to try out my lovely Rubens watercolours, which I absolutely love. And thought, what better way than to have a go at a seascape. With a beautiful big boat right in the middle. So I'm just going to start by getting the basic shapes in. Might have to make that a little bit longer maybe. Like that. Then I'm going to draw these water around the outside. Now he's got the cabin, comes up the front, probably the same height as the bow. There we go. So it's the same dimensions. I'll just draw the box shape in to begin with. And then I've got to do it on a little bit of a lilt. Like that. It's a split cabin. So there's like a lower deck's a bit longer. Like that. So just a little bit more than halfway maybe. I'm going to draw in the rough shapes, the windows, the top floor. Erase that bit of a line there. And I'm using rough paper, so it's a cool press. It's not cold. It's not the thickest, the roughest paper you can get, but it's quite textured. Because I thought water scene, I want the texture for the water. So I thought that would help. Now, yeah, the bow's a little bit. The front of the cabin's a little bit rounded. Then I can adjust a little bit as I go. It's got a sail on it. And the sail is the height of the boat again. So I'll just draw that there. Mast anyway. Sails down. And I wanted to draw a big stormy sky and have the ocean as the focus. So I thought that would be a bit of fun. Oops-a-days. And then the back of the boat comes around. You can just see the back of it there. I'll erase this little bit. I made a bit of a mess there. It's going to take a couple of attempts to get this drawing right, but that's okay. It's all practice. There we go. That comes around there like that. Then there's, look at my other references. It's got like a crab pot picker-upper or a net picker-upper there. So I'll draw that on. Doesn't have to be exact. Just has to sort of rough, that's the net, yep. So I'll just roughly draw that net on there. Like that. Just can be a suggestion of the net. Doesn't have to be right exactly. And you'll see, you can figure out what that is. So then I'm going to make these windows a little bit more defined. And I want to be able to see the underdrawing as well. So I like to leave my pencil marks in my work. So now how many windows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows across the bow. Keep them roughly the same, like that. The roof comes back to there a little bit. I'll draw the little roofy bit, like that. And he's got some, actually, I've got to take that roof back a fraction because there's some little windows, little porthole windows just there. So pop those in. Then there's like a railing here. like that. I've got to keep all my angles the same, if not as close to the same as I can get. Got to bring the bow up a bit more, like that. Swoop down a bit more on that angle. Yeah, we're going to give this a stormy sky, I think. Give it a bit of a stormy sky. Come across here. And the top of the mast is about the width of the roof. And he's got antennas and all kinds of fun things popping up on there. He's got support guy ropes. There's a light about there, so I'll just put a light there. He's got support ropes coming down there, like that. Can't really see much more. I've got to draw the bottom, front of this cabin. It's like that. There's shadow under there. Could do a couple little boxy windows down here because that's the work quarters. They'd have all their fishing stuff and things and all the fun stuff in there. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm getting stuck in detail, bogged down in detail. I need to not do that because it's a watercolour. Doesn't have to be detailed. Now I'm going to draw the sea. It's going to come to about there, I reckon. So I'll just draw that. Try and keep my line straight. I'm going a bit wonky already. I'm going to draw hills behind him. So I'm going to draw like a mountain back here. Keep it interesting. It can disappear off beside the boat. So he's out in a bay somewhere. Doesn't have to be anywhere. Hello, Playboy. Hello, Avocado. Loving your hair and lipstick. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I've gone a little bit blonder. Just a little bit blonder. And now this is going to be fun because there's a shadow. And one of the things I loved about this photograph was the shadow. So I'm going to try to draw. You just got to try and keep everything in, well, not shadow, it's a reflection rather, not a shadow. I'm just going to stay rough. See, I've already done that wrong because I've got to reverse everything like that. But it's going to be underwater, so you're not going to really see that. Hello, Deep. How are you, mate? Hopefully this boat doesn't have a hole in it, or it will be a hole issue. Oh, my God, yes. True. Very true. Okay, so having a quick look. And I thought I also wanted to do clouds, so I'm going to have big clouds up here, and I'm going to have reflections on the water. So this is going to be a bucket ton of fun. Yes, it is. I'm convincing myself. A bucket ton of fun. So I've got my Rubens watercolours right here. Very exciting. And I'm going to spritz them. I already prepared my water earlier because I was having a moment and I got organised. You feeling naughty? I am feeling nautical. Nautical. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. These paints re-wet so well. Right, we're off like a frog in a sock. I've got to find my cloth. Where's my cloth? Oh no! Oh no! It is not a Jenny. It's not a Jenny stream without losing stuff. Oh, there it is. I found it. As I stick my hair in the paint palette. Hang on. It's down here. I got it. Whoops, Daisy. And I hit all the things. Got it. She said yes. Triceratops. Hey? Oh no! I went to library the other day and asked the librarian if she knew any good authors that wrote about dinosaurs. Oh my God. DP, that's bad. It's so bad it's good. Anyone in my chat, DP, Grey DP, you see there in the chat, is the best with the bad jokes. Like the king of dad jokes. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to leave the boat to last. So I'm going to start. I've got both my dogs at my feet. Pibby's on her best behaviour. My little Pibby dog always barks. She's on her best behaviour today. So I'm rather impressed. Hello, Bear. Does everyone want to say hello to Bear? Hang on. I'm gonna bring Bear up and say hello. So say hello, Bear. There's Bear. Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, you can go back down now. He was jumping on my leg. Say hello. Now, I've got to come down on my top of my painting. He's puddling off into the hall. Good job. And I'm going to come down to the top of the boat. I'm going to stop at the water. I'm going to go over the mountain a little bit. I'm going to wet that even more. Guessing the fires didn't get closer. They did. They did. They were about a K away, which is about half a mile away. And we've got another bad day today. We've got 37 Celsius. So, yes. So we're on alert today. Now, I'm going to go. It looks like a cobalt blue. Oh, that's got a bit green in. I don't want to do that. There you go. It looks like a cobalt blue. I cleaned my palette. You'd think I cleaned it well, but apparently not. Okay, so, and I'm getting watercolour everywhere. This watercolour flows beautifully. So, I'm going to do a sky. I'm going to come down. I'm going to leave. You know what? I'm going to actually wet the whole sky. And then I'm going to come back and lift out. Whoops, it is. That was a silly Billy thing to do. And skies are darker at the top and they get lighter to the bottom. So I'll go a bit darker at the top. Run that down quickly to the bottom, to the water. Staying off the boat, ideally. Or it doesn't really matter. I can always get things back, get the white back with a little touch of gouache. And I am going to go back up the top and drop in some thicker blue because the sky at the top is always a little bit darker. Always a little bit darker. So do that, then bring it down. Then I'm going to get my bit of cloth. Control Z paper. Yeah, I know. We need a bit of a Control Z. And this, I lift out clouds like that. Smaller ones to the foreground, down closer to the ground, because that would be close up, and bigger ones in the distance. And that is a cloudy sort of backdrop. So now I'm going to clean my brush. I can't speak apparently. Clean my brush, take out the excess moisture and pick up the bead at the bottom. Doesn't matter, it's gone onto the wall. The water's blue anyway, so it's not really an issue. I'm just going to lift this little bit here, just because I sort of smudged it, but I can put a cloud there. Problem solved. And I'm going to darken up now while it's still damp. I'm going to make like a purple. I'm going to add a bit of red to my blue to make a purple. Because I want like a stormy, cloudy, greyish. I'd add a bit of brown to that as well to make it more grey. Bit of blue. So I want it to be a bit more of a purpley grey. And then I'm going to come under these clouds, I reckon, while it's still damp, and add a little bit of dark under the clouds. Just anywhere I see that I reckon would look all right, would look good to have a bit of storminess, and I'll lift that off just so it's subtle. Just leave a little hint of it like that. I'm going to wet into this one a bit and drop a bit of that there. A bit more. Just put that on and took it off. That was a bit silly Billy, but that's okay. And while this is all still damp, it'll spread out a little bit. Right, I'm not going to do a whole lot more. I'm getting a bit... Hello, Jeremy. How are you, mate? I am very good, thank you. I am just doing a seascape today. I'm going to soften around these edges. So I'm just wetting my brush and just dragging that out around a little bit. Just a little bit, just to soften it, because the clouds aren't hard. Clouds are fluffy. They're fluffy, fluffy. So... I'll lift off some of the edges. There we go. I reckon that's going to do. That's going to do. Okay. Now that's mostly, it's damp. It's not wet, but while that's still damp, I'm going to drop in a mountain, and mountains in the distance are purple. So I'm going to make a purple, a dark purple. I could even almost use this same grey that I've got. I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker. So I go a bit of blue, bit of brown, touch of red, touch of red, bit of blue, bit more blue. God, this brush absorbs water, moisture. Bit more blue, bit more brown. It's a reddy brown, so that's what helps to make the purple. And then this is damp, so I'm going to drop that bluey purple, grey-ish thing, colour, around into the mountain, like that. While that's still damp, and that'll keep those edges soft on the mountain, the distant mountains, which is what I want. Oops, it has got a bit onto the ocean. Let's lift that off quickly. Just having a quick look. Around the edge of the boat there. And then that is pretty much the mountain. Good, just chilling today, not adding too much. Cool. Sometimes it's nice to have a relax. It is nice to have a day off and a relax. I'll be doing that this afternoon because it's going to be too bloody hot to do anything else. So I'm going to drop some darker in closer to the waterline because it's not all just one flat colour. Drop all that in, trying to keep my ocean line flat. The distance, right, so that is pretty much the sky and the mountains done. So I've got to let that dry a fraction, but what I can do while I'm letting that background dry is grab my other brush, my little size 4, what are they called? Silver Black Velvet. Love me Silver Black Velvet brushes. So, and I'm going to drop in bit of sky colour into the windows because the glass has got, oh, that brush has got a bit of dirts on it. Don't want a dirts on the brush. That's better. Why is that brush holding dirt? Okay, that brush is icky. Icky brush. We're going to grab another brush because I don't like that one. Don't know what I've done to that one, but it's not happy. So I'm going to grab another bit of, oh, that's better. That's a bit cleaner. And grab a little bit of clear blue. I'm going to pop that into the glass, because the glass is reflecting the sky, so it's blue. Just a light blue, like that. And I can drop a little bit thicker while it's still wet into the top, and that will flow down a little bit and give it like a three-dimensional reflective sort of a look. I'm going to do the same with the bottom glass. Come down here. You can hear the cockatoos going mad outside. All our birds are, because we watered them, give them some water this morning. So they're all come down for a drink, preparing for their hot day. And again, drop some darker blue, or stronger blue. Now see, that's bled back up into the top of that. Got to try and lift that off carefully. And again, like I said, any light that I lose, I can pick back out with a bit of gouache. I've got my gouache palette at the ready. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now, I've got to let that dry a bit more. Got to let that dry a bit more. But I can work, I can't really wet. I've got to just wait for that mountain to dry a fraction. So, clean my brush. Just having a quick look at all my references. There was one in particular that I really like, the water. So I'm like, I'm going to try that. We'll see if that works. I'm going to go in pretty much with the sky colour again. But I've got to cut around the boat. So I'm going to grab my brush. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. Just a little. Cut around the boat. Go into there because you can see the ocean in there. I need a bigger brush. Go the bigger brush. Go in the bigger brush. Grabbing some more cloth because I've managed to saturate that one. There we go. Now I'm going to come down underneath, wetting the bottom of the paper, pretty much the same kind of wet that I'll wet the top. So all the way down. that all the way down. And now this is going to be quick. This is going to be quite quick. I probably might go in ultramarine, which is, yeah, marine. It's a marine colour, I suppose. It's a... Got to make sure that paper's wet and I can't see the sheen on it. If I had better light, I've got to get better lighting for my art room. Note to self, get better lighting. So I'm looking for what I think is a cobalt, an ultramarine sort of kind of blue, which I reckon would be that. That's definitely looking like an ultramarine blue. And I'm also going to go in with a cobalt, which is a sky colour. First, being brave, people. Being brave. A little bit mad, a little bit brave. Ooh, don't go onto the boat. Okay. I want to try and keep the boat white. Cut around. Oh, see. Oops. Doesn't matter. Got a little bit onto the boat, but that's okay. I can take that back at the end and let that flow. Pick that bit up. Take it down to the side to use it. Then, again, darker into the distance, lighter into the foreground, and I'm going to leave little wave textures like that. Okay, I'm not going to overdo it, people. Famous last words. Now, darker, because shadows, leaving a little gap into where the boat shadow is, leaving little wave wrinkles. Wrinkles, that's not wrinkles. What do you call those? Little reflections like that. I will do them darker. I'm just getting the rough bits in. I'll draw some waves now into the distance. Waves get smaller. So do little blobs of the darker blue into the distance and have the bigger ones into the foreground. Because everything in the distance gets smaller. The further away, the smaller it is. So do little blobs into the distance. Then coming into the foreground, they get bigger and more clear. Longer. I can use the barrel of the brush a little bit to make them look a bit thicker, maybe. Like that. Doesn't matter if they spread out a little bit because waves do weird things. I can drag out the edges. Like that. And I'm going to make a darker purple for the shadows around the boat here. While it's still damp, I can go into here. I'm just purpling up. Get a bit more of a shadow right against the bottom of the boat. Probably should have got a little bit darker. Go a little bit darker. Right against the boat. And just do ripples. Like that. And then where the mast is, like that. Darker shadows I can do darker under the waves at the foreground. Try not to keep them too symmetric because your foreground's stronger, more detail. Just a little. And that is pretty much going to be left. Right. Now, I've got a few different boats for references. I'm going to use like a red. I'm going to use a red. I'm going to clean my palette a little bit. I'm going to use a red for the trim on the boat because it's a nice bit of bling on the painting. Get another fresh bit of cloth. Always have this hand towel, kitchen towel handy. It's very, very handy. I am going to go a bit of red. I'm going to go, I don't know what red this is, but it's a beautiful bright red. Oh, that's pink. I don't want pink. I want red. Hang on. Oh, get that off the palette. Don't want pink. I'm not doing flat. There we go. That's a better red. Oh, no! And I got it on me painting. There we go. Pick it up quick. Pick it up quick. Goodness gracious. Okay. Got it. Nothing to see here, people. Nothing to see here. These things happen. Okay. Now, is that dry there? Not quite. Okay, I've got to wait a fraction because otherwise it's going to bleed up into the picture. So I'm going to clean my brush. I'll leave that red on my palette. Clean my brush. And I'm going to pop in some shadows on the boat. Again, I'm going to use purpley grey. So I'm going to go a bit of red. Whoops. Bit of blue. And a bit of brown to make it grey off. Give you a nice neutral sort of grey, purple. Like that. All right. And I'm going to carefully pick out where the shadows are on the front of the boat. I'm going to wet here because this is nearly all in shadow. Cut around the edge of the bow. Like that. And then I'm going to drop that purple just in up here because that side is a little bit darker. So to get your three-dimensionalness, you drop in, you keep a bit of variation in your colours. So I'm going to drop the darker into that side because the light's not hitting over there. Like that. And that's that bit of shadow there. I'm also going to add this same shadow colour on the hull. Clean up because she's in shadow on this side. I'm going to leave a little gap there. And I'm going to drop this same purpley shadow colour, just very watered down, onto the hull. Like that. The hull is mostly white. It is mostly white. So there's more shadow on that side. So I'll wet that down. Not going quite to the edge. And drop in more shadow on that side. Like that. Okay, so that gives heat. So it's darker on that side. And I'll drop a bit of darker pigment down the bottom there. Having a quick look. Right, that's looking all right. And I can come across this line like that. You can see it's starting, just starting to maybe come to life a little bit. I'm going to fill in the back here. That's all in shadow. I've got to add a little bit more blue into that, I think, because I need to purple that up a bit more in there. It's a bit too brown. There we go. Get that shadow, that nice luscious shadow in the back. Like that. And I can also, it's a little bit darker shadow across the bow there, across the front. Just using the very tip of my brush. Like that. The very tip of my brush. Coming up to the point in the bow, like that. Okay. And I can also take that same shadow tone. I've got to put a shadow on the bow here, on the front of the top deck. So I'm going to wet my brush. And I'm going to just take a bit of shadow colour onto the very front, because that bit there is also and a little bit of shadow. It helps to give it that three-dimensional effect. I didn't put any blue in the portholes at the back there, so I better put a little bit of blue in the portholes. Just there. Like that. A little bit of darker blue in the tops of those ones. Okay. Let that dry a little bit. I'm going to go onto my mast now. I'm going to grab my finer brush. Give it a good old clean. Give it a good old clean. And grab a bit of, I reckon a bit of what looks like sienna. Actually, no, I'll go yellow ochre. A bit of yellow ochre for the mast. A bit of yellow ochre for the mast. Grab a smaller brush so I can get a finer tip. And get a bit of that yellow ochre. I've got to get a bit more water on my brush so it flows a little bit better. Get some of my yellow ochre. Whoops, it is a bit wobbly. I can rest my hand on the page a little bit. It's dry up there now. Whoops, my lines, you can see they're not perfect. Wiggly wobbly. But you know what? That's a painting, isn't it? It's not meant to be perfect. It's just an impression of what you see. I can draw this. My paper's a little bit warped as well. So just draw these lines down. Suggesting them coming right down now. Whoops, a daisy. Doesn't matter if it's not exactly on the right spot because I can, you know, there's more than one line. There's lines going in all directions. So I can draw a couple more lines coming down. There's a line off here. Line off here. Sort of lines going everywhere, so I'm just suggesting them. Now the net is more of a purpley grey, so I can use pretty much the same colour that I used in the shadows and just suggest that on. Literally just draw a little squiggly line so it looks like a net sort of kind of maybe. Doesn't have to be perfect, just like that. Might make it a bit darker at the front, put a bit more brown on it maybe because it's, you know, net. Got to get a bit more moisture on my brush. It's like a sepia almost actually, this colour. Just like that. Let the texture on the paper actually do a little bit of the work. You can see that gives it a grainy kind of texture. So that's quite good. Righto, let's have a quick look. Is there anything else I want to... I've got to do the red. I've got to do the red. Bit of zing on it. Needs a bit of zing, bit of lift, which I've got up the top here. It's like a vibrant red. And I'm going to draw that. Just get a bit more on my brush around the top line of the bow. Doesn't have to be perfect. That gives that little bit of pop. And then there's on the waterline, there's a bit of red as well. So I'm just going to follow that. The water's dry now. Just got to take that to the water. Like that. Coming around using the very tip of my brush. Like that. And then going off into the distance a little bit. So it changes direction slightly. You can just see it through there. Can't really see it on the back of the boat, but I'll turn the corner like that. All right, that's pretty cool. So now I just need a little bit more. I want a little bit more contrast. I'm going to add a little bit of this brown on the shadow side. Whoops. Of all these poles and things, not all the way, just a little, just a smoosh, a swooshy smoosh of shadow on the backs. Woo, went a bit wiggly wobbly, doesn't matter. On the backs of these, like that. I can draw nasty bits. Like that. Doesn't matter. I'm not connecting, but there we go. It's a watercolour. All right, I'm happy with that. Now I've got to darken the shadows underneath. I want a bit more contrast. I've got to be a bit braver with the contrast, people. Okay, got to get a bit more contrast going on. So I'm going to darken up. Ooh, bit of brown on there still. I'm going to darken up in the windows. Just at the very top. I just want a little bit more contrast. There's not enough contrast going on. It's all looking a bit wishy-washy. So a bit of contrast. Let that flow. Like that. There we go. I'm also going to use this same blue over the top of that to get that dark shadow in there. Come across there. A bit more of that dark down that side of the bow. I'm going to wet that a bit more. Drag it down a bit. There we go. It's a bit better. All right. And the white's doing what the white does. I might lift that off a fraction, actually. I'm just going to wet my brush and just lift that off a fraction. Ooh, not with that bit of cloth because that's got a bit of red on it. Don't want to be doing that, people. I always have extra. Just going to dab that a fraction, just. It's still darker, but just to soften it a little bit. So it's not quite such a shock of dark. And I'm going to rub it a little bit just to lift it a bit more. Like that. Okay, shadows on the water. I've got to get stronger with the shadows on the water. Mix up some purple. Getting scared. Mix up purple. Red, blue. I'm not going to go brown with this. I'm going to keep it a reddy blue. Red and blue mix, I mean. Make a nice strong purple. Go a dark blue. Make a dark purple. Can add a little bit of brown. But I won't. But I could, but I won't. Okay. Oh, getting brave. Going back onto where? I'm going to just go back onto here. And now I'm going to drop that in. I just wet that again. The water does do strange things. There we go. And it's all different colours. Like that. Jiggle that because that's a line of the mast in the water. Again, a line of the mast in the water. The lower one, like that. It's important to try and remember your shadows and your reflections and things. So that's pretty much the boat and the water done. Okay, I'm going to go back onto the mountain. I want to make a dark, I'm going to take this dark purple into the very base of the mountain because it's looking a bit flat. Needs a little bit more colour in there, a little bit more lift. This is really just nearly all blues and purples. Like it's a lot of shadow colours. I'll take it across the out of the back here, like that. Just connect that little bit there. Just going to soften up this top edge. Going to wet my brush, damp it, and just come around here. You know what I haven't done? Seagulls. We need some seagulls. Because people forget to put life in their art. You draw, like people draw a building, but there's no anything. There's nothing. There's no animals. There's no, and there's always birds. There's always birds. There's always stuff going on. So I'm just going to draw some little wings, little itty bitty wings in the background. I'm just going to grab a bit of a blue-grey. And I'm using the very tip of my brush. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Hang on. using the very tip of my brush. Draw some little seagulls just off into the distance, because fishing boats are usually surrounded by birds and odd numbers. Because why not? And I'll do a little one in the distance like that. So it looks like they're sort of flying towards the boat. And I'm pretty happy with that, I think. I reckon I'm pretty happy with that. What do you reckon, guys? I think that's pretty good. Don't know if I'm going to do a whole lot more. So I'm going to sign that. Get a bit of blue. Sign it down this bottom right hand side over my red blotch that I accidentally put on there. Like that. And sign it. And then I'm going to do another one. No idea what I'm going to do, but we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll do a what do you call it? A lighthouse. Looks all washed up. just a little washed up. Okay, so I'm just going to take off my tape on the edges. Like that. Whee! It's always a fun bit. And like that. Ooh. And that's my little seascape. My little ship. My little boat. My fishing boat. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day.